Hello YouTubers, this is Cessnaace back again with another package video of Atari gaming goodness. Now before I get to this, I need to again go over the problems I've been having with my sound. The problem first stemmed or cropped up when I replaced my old computer with this computer, which my brother put together. It's got a lot of horsepower compared to my previous computer and a terabyte hard drive, and it's really a top-notch machine in most respects. However, he left the old sound card that I had in here, or put it in here. In any event, ever since I got home with it, back after picking it up from him, it's had this problem. Now I tried using my old web camera with its built-in microphone, and it sounds just as bad. And so then I tried using one of my SingStar mics, which I did finally find them. Plug this into the input, mini plug input on the back of the computer. But this sounds no better, so I'm going to have to break down and get a new sound card. But I'm trying to use what little money I have, discretionary wise, to buy games. My wife's car, we discovered about 2 or 3 weeks ago, needs $1,500 worth of work, $700 of which has been done, but that still leaves another $800. So we're trying to get that taken care of, and my wife is forever wanting to go to Disney World, and so that costs money. Anyway, for those of you who have stuck with me, I want to thank you for sticking with me, and for those new subscribers out there, I want to thank you as well, because I know that listening to all of this is not easy. Now, of the games that are in here are games from 3 different publishers. The first is one of the original 9 games released with the first Atari VCS back in 1977. And of the original 9 launch titles, this one is the hardest to find because, unlike the others, Atari pulled this from their catalog in '79. They reissued it briefly in '82, but it's not any easier to find. I think this is the '82 version, but in any event, like I said, it's not easy to find, especially in really nice condition as this one is. Trying to avoid the trap of going quick and easy, quick and dirty route of getting carts, whatever condition they are in, and upgrading as I go along. I'm trying to get cartridges that are as close to near mint as I can to begin with. That way I won't have to replace them. Now, there are a lot of titles that it's impossible to find boxes for, so I didn't leave that as something that I only have to get box games, because I would never get some of the games I really wanted that way. So, anyway, the game in question is Starship, and as was the case with several of the games published by Atari, this one was also published by Sears. Now, the Sears version, which isn't any easier to find, was released under the name Outer Space. Really clean all the way around. Now, as I keep these handy, my digital press collector's guides, both this one and the one that's blue, which handles another 16, 17, 18, whatever it is, systems that came out after the ones covered in this guy. Anyway, I looked up both Starship and Outer Space in the non-US release section They have over 2,000 games there, many of which are republishings of other companies' games. Like the game will be published overseas by 7 or 8 different companies, and they each have their own listing. But I could not find Starship or Outer Space in the non-US section, so this may be a US exclusive. Don't quote me on that, but they don't have it listed in their non-US section. Although they do mention that while they have found 2,000 games that were released overseas, they think that there are another 1,000 yet to discover. So there's that. Okay, now in an earlier few vids, I showed some games that I have bought from, or that were published by US Games, which is a division of Quaker Oats. They used 3 style cases. This case, which is known as the black case, a standard case, and then a beveled case, as this game uses. Piece of cake. This game is a little hard to find. And as I believe I mentioned, it's in the beveled style case. And you'll notice that the spine label is a separate label from the face label. This is different from the black case games, as the face label is continued on over to the spine, so it's all one label, one piece. Okay, there's that. This game is also a little hard to find and was released only in bevel style cases. Some games were released in a standard case, and some were released in the black cases, and some in the beveled cases, and some were released in more than one style case. But these two that I have just shown, Piece of Cake and this one I'm about to show, were only released in the beveled style cases. This is Picnic. And so there's that. Now, the other company represented in here was, like US Games, owned by a large company. US Games was owned by Quaker Oats, and this company is 20th Century Fox, and their games are branded Fox Video Games. Now, Fox still publishes video games for the PC and for various modern consoles, but they are using the name Fox Interactive now. Anyway, this is MASH. There were 2 releases of this game. One included a MASH t-shirt. So obviously, I don't have that. Copyright notice instead of the title on the spine. And on the back, their logo and Fox Video Games Incorporated. Next up, Porky's. does have the title on the spine. And a bare back. So no Fox logo, as was the case with this one. Now, although they published something like 11 games for the VCS/2600, there have been 2 more that were prototypes that were discovered, and another 17 or so that are in the rumor mill section. The rumor mill section is for games that were advertised, listed in catalogs, or in a press release announced, but as yet have not cropped up. Occasionally games that are in the rumor mill section will turn up, and then they'll be moved to a different section, like a prototype section if a prototype is found. Now, they had a game that they had announced in one of their press kits, 9 to 5. Another one, which is called Alligator People. And one of the prototypes they found was Planet of the Apes. And for a long time, people thought that those 2 games were actually the same game, but it turned out they were separate games. So, Alligator People has not been found. It was thought it had been, but it turned out to be Planet of the Apes. Okay, Attack of the Baby Seals. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The Day the Earth Stood Still. Dutch Elm Defender. The Fall Guy. Hold Up. MASH 2. Meltdown. Patton. Six Pack. Don't know what kind of game that would have been. Tough Enough, mentioned in an early 20th Century Fox catalog. And War of the Worlds, which was mentioned in the August-September 83 issue of Video Games Player. Anyway, that's what a typical entry looks like in here. They still offer these collector's guides at Digital Press, so I highly recommend checking them out. If I remember, I'll stick the link down there. Until next time, stay awesome.